Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to, well, cut through the noise and get you straight to what you need to know. Today, we're looking at something really significant that just finalized, the India-UK Free Trade Agreement. It was formally signed July 24th, 2025. Now, usually you hear trade agreement and you think goods, maybe tariffs, that kind of thing. But this one has some really impactful parts about something often overlooked but vital: professional mobility, the movement of people. So our mission today: give you the shortcut, unpack what this landmark deal really means for Indian professionals looking at UK opportunities. And, for the bigger picture between the two countries, it's potentially a game changer for a lot of people, a lot of businesses. Okay, let's explore this.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is how this agreement tackles one of the most dynamic bits of global trade: the movement of talent, of actual people. It's not just about shipping boxes anymore, is it? It's about human capitals, skills, expertise. And this deal, well, it's a critical step. It brings much-needed clarity, stability for businesses working across borders. It affects individuals, industries, very tangibly.
Right. So let's get one key thing straight right away, because I think this could be confusing. This agreement does not create any totally new visa categories. There's no, specific India-UK FTA visa you can apply for. Why is that distinction so important to make up front?
It's crucial because the real value here, the clever part perhaps, is in the predictability it offers. It locks in access, formalizes it, using the existing UK route, specifically the Global Business Mobility Scheme, the GBM.
Oh, yeah, the GBM scheme.
Right, exactly. That's the UK's main framework for letting businesses move staff internationally, begin service providers, things like that. So these pathways, like business visitors, intra-corporate transfers, service suppliers, they already exist. But now for Indian professionals, access isn't just continued. It's formally protected by this treaty, maybe even enhanced in some ways. It's about securing the known routes, not inventing new ones from scratch.
Okay, securing the known routes. And that leads right into one of the biggest headlines from this part of the deal, doesn't it? The guaranteed minimum 3-year visa access for Indian professionals under these GBM routes. That sounds pretty significant. What does that guarantee actually mean in practice?
Well, if you zoom out a bit, connected to the bigger picture, it offers a whole new level of assurance. Stability. Think about it from the professional's point of view. Knowing you have at least 3 years guaranteed, that's a solid foundation for planning your career, maybe even your life.
Right, it's more than just a job assignment then.
Exactly. It lets you think longer term, settling in, maybe family considerations, finding proper housing, even things like getting credit in the UK. It makes it a much more viable path. And for the companies, that stability is absolutely paramount. When businesses are making big investment decisions, deciding where to put resources, they need certainty about moving their key people. This provision really de-risks that. It makes the UK more attractive for Indian firms looking to invest and expand because they know their talent pipeline is more secure.
Makes sense. So it's predictability, but also the agreement widens the scope, right? Who can actually benefit? We're hearing about expanded access across, 35 service sectors? That seems quite broad. It's not just IT anymore.
Not at all. It explicitly brings in fields like engineering, architecture, legal services, accounting.
Wow.
Yeah, it really broadens the playing field quite substantially for India professionals.
And what about those maybe more niche professions? Is there anything there?
Yes, and this is a really interesting, almost visionary detail, I'd say. The agreement sets aside 1,800 visas annually, just for niche professionals.
1,800? For niche roles? Like what?
The examples given include traditional Indian chefs, experienced yoga instructors, even classical musicians. It really highlights the diverse kind of exchange they envision. It's not just about corporate suits or tech wizards.
That's fascinating.
It really is. It raises that question, what does this signal about the kind of bridges being built? It seems to recognize a much wider spectrum of skills, culture, expertise. It's like acknowledging that real bilateral connection involves more than just business deals. It's also about that cultural richness.
Okay, let's get practical then. Break it down for different types of professionals. This is where, the rubber meets the road for listeners. First up, intra-corporate transferees, or ICTs. These are folks working for an Indian multinational getting sent to the UK branch. What's in it for them?
All right, so for ICTs, they'll still generally benefit from the existing UK rules on duration, which could be up to 5 years, or even 9 years for very high earners. But the key FTA addition is that guaranteed minimum 3-year stay.
So even if the UK later changed its general rules to, say, allow only 2 years max for ICTs.
Exactly. Under this FTA, Indian ICTs would still be guaranteed that 3-year minimum. It locks in that baseline protection for them, real security for their planning.
Okay, clear. What about contractual service suppliers and independent professionals, people working on specific contracts?
Yeah, so for these individuals working on contracts in specific recognized sectors, they can apply for visas for up to 12 months. And importantly, the FTA has expanded the list of eligible sectors for these roles, so it opens up new avenues for providing specialized services from India to the UK.
Creating new opportunities there? And finally, just standard business visitors, people going for meetings, conferences, short gigs.
Still eligible under the standard visitor visa route as before. But the agreement sort of formalizes this, protects that continued eligibility. It ensures that pathway for short-term meetings, collaborations, quick service delivery remains clear and accessible.
Okay, so existing routes protected, durations guaranteed at a minimum, scope expanded. Seems quite comprehensive.
And there's one more quite significant benefit, particularly for those intra-corporate transferees.
Whoa, what's that?
An exemption from paying UK national insurance contributions for stays of 3 years or less.
National insurance. That's like the UK's social security tax, right? An exemption. How does that work?
Precisely. National insurance funds things like state pensions and the NHS. This exemption means that for the first 3 years, neither the Indian professional nor their employer has to pay these contributions in the UK.
That sounds like a big financial plus.
It is. For the individual, it means higher take-home pay, which obviously helps with the cost of living. And for the company, it lowers the cost of sending that employee to the UK. It makes the whole proposition more financially attractive, potentially encouraging more transfers, more investment. It reduces a pretty significant overhead.
Interesting. So these mobility rules, they aren't just happening in isolation. They fit into the bigger strategy of the whole FTA. And that big picture goal is massive, isn't it? Doubling bilateral trade to, what, US $120 billion by 2030?
That's the ambitious target, yes. And it's expected to really boost key sectors, textiles, pharma, IT areas where India is already very strong.
So the thinking must be that making it easier for professionals to move is, like, a key ingredient to hitting that huge trade number. It's a catalyst.
Absolutely. The flow of skilled people is seen as fundamental to driving that broader economic expansion and collaboration.
Now, this all sounds very positive, very ambitious, but deals like this, especially ones touching on immigration and visas, they rarely sail through without any debate. Were there sticking points around these mobility parts?
Oh, absolutely. You're right to ask. These visa protection elements were apparently among the most debated, most contentious issues in the entire negotiation.
Really?
Yes. Reports suggest they were one of the final hurdles, only really nailed down in May 2025, right before the finish line, specifically to get these business mobility terms locked in.
And even now, after signing, any ongoing discussion or criticism?
There has been some, yes. Particularly in the UK, critics have pointed to that national insurance exemption for the ICTs. Some estimates suggest it could reduce the UK's tax take by somewhere in the range of, say, 100 million to 200 million a year.
Okay, that's not insignificant.
No, but it's important to add the counter-argument here as well.
Yeah.
Defenders of the deal stress that these kinds of NI or Social Security exemptions are actually very standard practice. The UK has similar arrangements in trade treaties with over 50 other countries.
Ah, so it's not some special, unprecedented deal just for India.
Not according to that view, no. It's presented as a common tool used globally in trade agreements to ease the movement of service providers and reduce barriers. The argument is that the long-term economic benefit from more trade, more investment, facilitated by this easier movement will far outweigh that potential short-term tax revenue dip.
Right. Context is key there. Standard practice versus cost. A classic trade-off debate. And while the agreement is broad, covering those 35 sectors, we should also note, shouldn't we, that some major areas are still, well, largely left out for now.
That's also true. Key sectors like the UK's big finance industry and parts of the legal services sector aren't fully included in these specific mobility provisions at this stage.
So potential areas for future talks down the line.
Very likely. It indicates that while this is a comprehensive agreement, the economic relationship and the negotiations around it will continue to evolve. There's still room for further integration.
It really highlights how these partnerships are living things, constantly developing. Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. A quick summary of what we've covered in this deep dive. The India-UK FTA's professional mobility clauses, they offer real clarity, much-needed stability, and genuinely expanded opportunities for Indian professionals. Crucially, remember, it's not doing this by inventing brand new visa types. It's about protecting, guaranteeing, and sometimes enhancing the existing pathways, mainly under that global business mobility scheme. And this is all tied into that huge ambition doubling bilateral trade, strengthening the economic ties between the two nations. It shows just how linked people movement and global commerce really are now.
Absolutely. And it really underlines how central professional mobility has become, hasn't it? It's key to economic growth, key to international relations. But as we saw, it can also be a driver and a point of friction, a source of debate. So perhaps a final thought to leave you with. What might this kind of detailed, quite protective approach to professional mobility in the India-UK deal signify for other trade negotiations globally? As more countries grapple with managing global talent flows, could this become a more common model, or will the debates around it intensify? It certainly sets a fascinating precedent for how vital the movement of skilled people is in today's world.
A lot to think about there. All the best as you continue to explore this fascinating area. We look forward to delving into another important subject with you in our next deep dive.